Hey everyone, how's everyone doing? Today I want to talk about the functions of music. Music has a lot of patterns in it, and in mathematics, you can think of a function as a type of pattern. So let's get into it, see what we got. So the first thing I want to look at is a piano keyboard. It's the easiest way to see the patterns in music. And if you look closely at a piano keyboard, you'll see that there is a pattern in the keyboard. See how there's 2 black keys, and then 3 black keys, then 2, and then 3 again. I'm going to divvy up these patterns here with blue lines so you can see them more clearly. Now, you can see the pattern. Now, the white keys in each pattern, there's 7 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then it repeats over again. So let's concentrate on one of those patterns. There we go. Let's zoom in on it, and let's check it out here. Now, the first thing I want to teach you is this note right here. Here he is. Boom. That note is known as a C. But it's not important that you know the letters right now. All that's important is you see where it is on the keyboard. You see how it's next to the 2 black keys right there. Play him again. There he is. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in another pattern above it right there. And we're going to jump to the next note on the keyboard that's next to the 2 black keys above. To the right on the keyboard, here he is. There's my lower note to the left, and my upper note, and here's them together. Those 2 notes are known as an octave. That's the very first pattern, and the most important pattern in music is the octave. Now, if you recognize the word octave, it has that special part, OCT, in the front, oct. And if you know English or Spanish or many other language, if you see those letters in a word, it represents a number 8. Like octopus or ocho represents 8. Octopus has 8 arms. You know this. Octagon has 8 sides. This is known as an octave because they are 8 notes apart, 8 keys apart. Now I'm just going to count the white keys. Watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's why it's called an octave. Here they are again. And these octaves happen all along the keyboard. Here's many octaves. Watch this. Because the pattern repeats every 8 notes there. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start introducing the mathematics part. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play these notes, and we're going to hear how they sound next to each other, and we're going to talk about it. The first note we're going to play is this black key next to that first note we played. Here's the first note. Now I'm going to play that black key. There it is. I'm going to go up an octave and do the same thing. We'll start from here. In music, that is called a half a step. Here, listen to it again. That's a half a step. And what we're going to do is we're going to work our way up the keyboard till we get a full octave worth of half steps. Let's see how far we need to go here. Now I'm going to go to the next note from there. That's another half step. I'm playing those notes. So the first 3 notes are. Now I'm going to go up again. Here I go. And again. There it is. You see it? You see it? And now here, listen. There it is. There's another half step. So I'm going to stop there. Let's listen to these first 6 notes here. Here's how they sound all together. All right, I'm going to keep going. Half steps all the way. Here it goes. we made it. We made it all the way up to the octave using all half steps. Let me talk about it for a minute here. See how these two white keys don't have a black key between them, right? They're still considered a half a step. And you see that happens again up here near the top of the octave. It's a half a step again right there. Here's these two keys, listen. And the top of the octave there. And that's a chromatic pattern. I'm going to play them all together now. Listen, here's how it sounds fast. I'm going to go back down now. In music, that's called a chromatic pattern. So let's get into, so that's the very first, or the second pattern after an octave is the chromatic pattern. You just hit every single key for a whole octave is called chromatic. And you can continue up the keyboard as far as you want to go. Here, listen. I went as far as I could go before I ran out of keyboard. Now, the next pattern is, I think, one of the most important patterns in music. Everything's based upon this pattern. Listen carefully. Next pattern is called the major scale pattern. And when you start on that note down there next to the two black keys, that C, it's easy to play the major scale pattern because all you do is hit just the white keys. See if you recognize this pattern. So there's our C. There's our first note. That's called the major scale pattern. Let me do it again. Here it goes. Whoa. You hear it? That is also known as the do-re-mi scale. Maybe you've sung in music class, do-re-mi. Here it is kind of faster. Back down now. See if I go faster. Oh. Pretty good. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, ti, do. That's called the major scale pattern. Now, let's apply how the steps look in a major scale pattern. This is the most important part of the video here. Let's watch. So from there to there is a whole step. It's one whole. From here to here. See how it skips that half step? Remember how that was a half step and that was a half step? Now, if you go two half steps, that makes a whole step. That makes sense, right? So when you skip a black key, that's a whole step. Here's how it sounds again. Now I'm going to keep going. Now look here. The fourth note I'm going to play in the scale is still a half a step. So here's the first four notes again. I'll start. Whole step. Whole step. Now this one's a half a step. The fourth note is a half a step. That's very important in music here. Now I'm going to go. What do you think that one is? That's a whole step. Skipping a black key. That's a whole step. Now I'm skipping another black key. And then the final note to get to the octave is another half step. That is known as a major scale pattern. Whole step. So you start, whole step, half step, another whole step, another whole step, another whole step, and it ends on a half a step. This pattern is really important in music. Let's see why. So what musicians do is, in a major scale pattern, you know that they use different letters to name different notes and stuff, but we also use numbers for a major scale pattern. And we label each of the notes in the pattern its own number. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if I say I want to play the fifth note of the major pattern, here I go. That's the fifth note. Here's the third note. Here's the first note. Now you can see where songs start to have patterns. If I play the first note, the third note, and the fifth note together, it makes a chord. We'll worry about that in another lesson. I'm just showing you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, here's the cool part. See how the numbers go 1 through 8? Now you could really see why it's called an octave. And you could start the numbers over on the beginning note of the scale, no matter where you start. I can start up here. Doesn't matter. There's 8 notes in the full octave of the major scale pattern. So let's check out some tunes you might know. All right, so here's the first tune you might know, using the major scale pattern and the numbers of the notes in the pattern. Here's a hit. How about this one, man? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 2, 1, 7, 1. Man, that's a hit. You know that one, right? Come on now. Don't you recognize that song? Let me play it for you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 2, 1, 7, 1. You know that one? You can tell it's Christmas when I'm writing this video here. Here's another one. Here's another Christmas hit. What we got next here? Oh, you know this one. Come on now. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3. Come on now. You know that one. Here it is. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3. You know that one. Come on, Jingle Bell. What's another one we got here? What do I got? Oh, the rest. 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2, 5. So if you think of music mathematically, it's just a pattern of different notes and different combinations that form those songs that you like. Just every single song has a numerical pattern to it. All right, let's keep moving now. So here's our notes from the major scale, starting on that key right there next to the 2 black keys. 1 through 8, there's a full octave now. What if, though, listen to this. What if we were to start the octave on the key in the middle of those 2 black keys, starting on this note right here? Whoa, okay. So let's see what happens when we play this scale. See how it sounds. Let me play that one again. Listen carefully. That sounds a little different. It doesn't sound like a major scale. It doesn't sound like do, re, mi. Let me see what happens if I play those Christmas song patterns, but with this scale here where the numbers are at now. See how it sounds. All right, here I go. So here is a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 with that scale. Whoa, that sounds spooky. That does not sound the same. That doesn't sound like Happy Christmas. That sounds like Spooky Christmas or something. What's going on here? Well, the reason is it's no longer the major scale pattern. What was the major scale pattern? Do you remember what it's supposed to be? It's supposed to be a whole step, and then a half step. A whole step, a whole step, a whole step, and then a half step. Let's see how this one's working here. I don't know about it. There's our whole step. Okay, so that's a whole step. Now look here. That's supposed to be a whole step. But if you look, It's only between these keys here. There's no black key there. That's not a whole step. We need to change that note. Here's where the black keys come into play. Watch what I do here. To make that whole step, I got to skip up to that black key. Now it's a whole step, right? Listen carefully. I'm going to play these first 3 notes now. That sounds better. And now here's the 4th note. And that's a half step. Now it's meeting the pattern, right? Start, whole step, and then a half step. And now the next one's a whole step. That's good. 6. That ain't right. Again, the pattern's wrong. From 6 to 7 needs to be a whole step. That's not a whole step. We got to use another black key here. Let's change it. Now it's a whole step. See how it goes there to there? That's a whole step. So this time it's skipping over the white key. It doesn't matter which one you skip over as long as you skip over something to get that whole step. There it is. Then the final note. There it is. Now I'm going to play all these notes together and listen to it and hear how it sounds. That sounds like a major scale there. So I had to change it a little bit to fit the pattern. That is the basic pattern of music, is the major scale. And no matter what note you start on the keyboard, you have to follow that pattern if you're staying in the major scale. Here it is again. There it is. And now I can play my Christmas songs starting with that key now. So here it goes. I'm going to play Deck the Halls. I'm going to play this pattern here with the D major scale, the one we just did in the previous slides. Here it is. Here's the pattern here. Here's 1, 2, the third note's on that black key, 4, 5, 6, 7's on a black key, and 8. So there's a full octave, and that's called the D major scale. And I'm going to play Deck the Halls using these notes first. Here it goes. You ready? Where we at? There it is in the D major scale. Now I'm going to go back to the original scale we learned, starting on that note next to the 2 black keys called C. Here's Deck the Halls in C. You hear the difference? It's the same song, except I'm starting on a different note. I'm using a different major scale. And you could do this with any of these keys on the keyboard as long as you follow that major scale pattern. Here's D again. Check it out. And that is a beginning taste of what music is all about. You can create all kinds of songs using these patterns in the major scale. Now, of course, in music, there's other types of scale, which we'll talk about in later lessons, but that is the major pattern of the major scale. Take care.